welcome to T2A Crafts. Today we're going to work on an Instapot meal. We're going to make Instapot easy chicken fettuccine alfredo. You're going to need a pound of chicken, butter, 4 cloves of garlic, a half a cup of heavy cream, a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, 1 cup of chicken stock, and 1 cup or 4 ounces of fettuccine noodles and salt and pepper. So the first thing you're going to do is on your Instapot, you're going to put it on saute and let it warm up. And then after it's warmed up for just a couple minutes or so, we are going to add half a tablespoon of butter. Okay, we're going to put a half a tablespoon of butter down inside our Instapot. We're going to let it melt and get warm. And then I'm going to go ahead and salt and pepper my chicken, just barely salt and pepper it. I don't want a whole lot. Some people like to add it afterwards. If you're controlling diet, by all means do that. Then I'm just going to kind of toss it around in my bowl for just a second. Yep, it's getting hot. Okay. While we're waiting for that to get warm, I wanted to tell you a couple things. When you're doing this, when you're working with fresh garlic, if you're working with fresh garlic, I should say, make sure that you don't overcook your garlic, because then your garlic will turn bitter. So when it tells you to put your garlic in, just be very careful, not to overcook it, because it will give it a really, really bitter taste. I'm going to check on my butter and make sure that it is melting in here. And I want the bottom of my Instapot to get really hot. Excuse me. I have allergies, and today's not a very good day for allergies. After it's hot, excuse me, you'll have to forgive me for that. I've taken my allergy medicine, but for some reason it just does not seem to be working very well right now. I may need to switch it up and get something different later. I don't even know. But anyways, you can hear my butter sizzling. So I'm going to let it get warm for just a few more seconds. Then you're only going to add half of your chicken, half a pound at a time of your chicken into your pot, and you're just going to sear it. Once you've got it seared, and you'll take it out and you'll put it on a paper plate or a plate on a paper towel, so that, and I may not need to do that. I may just go ahead and put it all in here. Yeah, I think mine's big enough that I can put it all in there. I'm going to set my bowl to the side. Now we're going to sear this for just a few minutes. 1 to 2 minutes on each side should be plenty. And I'll get a plate or a bowl. I'll just get another bowl. Okay, I got another bowl, and I'm just gonna turn it. You just want to sear it. Get a nice crunch on it. Just a little bit, just enough to hold the juices and stuff in the chicken, so the chicken doesn't get too dry. After we do that, we're going to add the garlic. And once again, I can't emphasize enough, don't let your garlic cook for too long, because if you do, your dish is ruined. This smells really good. Now you can add some poultry seasoning, which I think I'm going to do that too. That might be a good idea. Okay, I have some poultry seasoning. I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit in there. And I got to powder up my nose. And go ahead and sear this meat for a couple more minutes. I want to make sure my chicken's good and done. And then after the chicken is seared really good, then we want to go ahead and get our paper towel and get our chicken ready. So that when we're ready, we can drain it. You don't want all the added fat and stuff on there. So I'm just going to put that in there like that. I'm going to try to work on a couple more Instapot meals this week. I don't know what I'm going to do. If you've got any suggestions, just leave it to me in the drop box, and I'll try to do what I can with it. Okay, now I'm going to let it go for just a couple minutes more because I want to make sure it's all seared really good. And then we'll take it out and put it on the paper towel to drain. And what this is going to do is this is just going to keep your chicken, the juices in your chicken, so that your chicken doesn't get real dry, and it'll just give it a better flavor all the way around. Today, when I get ready to put my noodles in, I have homemade noodles in the freezer, and I'm not going to thaw them out. I'm just going to take them out. If you don't have frozen noodles and you have bag noodles, just follow what I'm doing with the bag noodles. It works just the same. Okay, now I'm going to take this chicken out. Ooh. And just put it in my bowl. And a couple more pieces in there, I believe. Yep, just a couple. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add my garlic in here. And I'm going to cook my garlic for just a couple minutes. In fact, I don't just cook it until it's fragrant. It only takes about a minute. I wouldn't go any longer than that. I'm using minced garlic today instead of fresh chopped. So I'm going to use about a tablespoon, maybe a little more if you like garlic. And then I'm just going to stir it around in here. And now you can smell the aromatics in it. It really smells good. Okay, not like I said, no more than a minute or your garlic will start to burn and it'll get really, really bitter, and you just don't want the bitterness. Okay, now I have a cup of chicken broth. Okay, now we don't want this garlic to burn, so what we're going to do is what we're doing is deglazing the bottom of our pot, getting the chicken, pieces of chicken and stuff off the bottom of the pot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the chicken stock to the pot and deglaze my pot. I did that, and then I'm going to put my get my chicken or my noodles out of the freezer. And what you need to do with these is you need to lay them, if you have the long noodles, you need to lay them one direction and then go over the top of them again. And if you don't have enough broth to cover your noodles, then you're just going to add some water to it to make it thicker, or you can add more broth. I think I'm going to add just a bit more chicken broth. And that'll cover them. There we go. So now we have our broth in there and our noodles in there, and we're just going to let them, and we're going to put the chicken back in the pot now on top of our noodles. Don't stir it, just put it in on the top. And then you're going to put your lid on your Instapot and secure it down. Make sure that the vent is closed. And turn it on for 3 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to turn it off, put it on manual, and I want to come down to 3 minutes. Okay, and after that 3 minutes, we're gonna let it release for about 5 minutes. Open the vent, hit cancel, and we're going to turn it back. Go back to saute so it'll keep it warm. You can use your tongs or whatever. Now you're going to, after you cook this, you're going to take your chicken back out, which I know it sounds kind of repetitious and kind of silly, but that's just what this recipe calls for. We're going to take it back out and we're going to sit it back in our bowl, and then we're going to put the rest of our other ingredients in here. So while we're waiting to do that, I'm going to put some of these things away and clean off my counter here so that I have plenty of room to work. Now, when your 3 minutes is up, when it comes up to pressure and your 3 minutes is up, that's when you'll take your chicken out. Now, I've not done this recipe before. This is new for me too, so just bear with me. I'm trying to figure it all out. But it smells absolutely wonderful. So right now we're just cooking the noodles, and then we're going to take the chicken back out again. And you're going to take your fork or your tongs or whatever you want to use, and you're going to make sure that your noodles are separated, because you don't want your noodles all stuck and clinging together. And then we'll put in our the last of our ingredients, and this should be done. Then you if you want to, you can, after it's all done and you've plated it, you can top it with more Parmesan cheese and some parsley if you want to. I think I'm going to have a side salad with this. So that will be a pretty complete meal right there. So I don't think I'm going to add anything extra to it this time. Just see how we like the fettuccine alfredo from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause you guys. I know you don't want to sit here and watch this pot. So when the 3 minutes is up and it's come back down to pressure, so I can open my Instapot, then I'll be back. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back. That took a total of about 18 minutes, I would say, so it wasn't too bad. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit for about a minute or so while I'm getting my Parmesan cheese measured out. You need a half a cup of Parmesan cheese and a half a cup of heavy cream. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out my half a cup of Parmesan cheese. Okay. And one thing I will tell you, it does seem like it takes forever for this thing to get to the point where it is actually pressure cooking. It seems like a long time because you're standing around waiting on it. I could have went and put in a load of laundry or whatever and came back and it would have been, it would have just been coming down to where it needed to be. Okay, now the first thing you're going to do is carefully, you're going to open your vent very carefully and you're going to let the pressure out. You're going to turn off your Instapot. When it's finished venting, we'll go ahead and we'll open it up, take the chicken out, and separate our noodles. Then after we separate that, then we'll go ahead and put the rest of our stuff in, and we'll go from there. So it's not a very long process, and we'll see how it is when we sit down to the table. I will taste it and I'll tell you how it is. Chicken fettuccine is one of my favorite things, especially if you're tired of, hamburgers and hot dogs and pizza, and the same old regimen. So this was one of the reasons that I wanted to do this, was to see if this was something that my husband and I would like, and it would be something that we would make again. The whole process for me is, right now I have a lot of pokers in the fire, so to speak. I'm trying to get ready for a craft fair and trying to get things ahead for farmer's market and canning and, getting some sewing done and, just some different things like that. So I'm trying to divide my time up, but I still want to fix good meals. I don't want to sacrifice on the meals just because I have other things to do. That, to me, that's not right. So I'm just trying new different recipes myself so that I can go from there, and the ones I like, I'm sure I'll continue to use, and the ones I don't, well, you might like them, I don't know. Okay, now, our venting is almost finished. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lid off, and I don't think it's ready for me to take my lid off yet, so we'll wait just a second and we'll take it off. I want to do a corned beef and cabbage traditional meal for St. Patrick's Day. As you know, we made the shamrock cookies yesterday, so that we could, take your lid off and make sure you always open your lid facing away from you, not towards you, so that you don't burn yourself with the steam. Now, I'm going to take my chicken pieces out just like it told me to. Oh, this looks really good. This almost looks like chicken and noodles right now. And I like chicken and noodles too. I like to do chicken and noodles and beef and noodles. And I always make my own noodles, though. I'm not big on store-bought noodles. I like fresh noodles, so we just do it that way. Now, I'm just going to separate my noodles, and they look really, really, really nice. Okay, now I'm going to add my cream. Let's see. Okay, that was a half a cup of heavy whipping cream, and then I'm just going to mix it up. And then I'm going to add got a piece of lint, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, which it kind of, I don't know why that did that, but that's okay, we'll get it out. And then I'm going to mix it. Okay. I'm going to turn my Instapot back on saute. Put my chicken back in. Add a little bit of salt and pepper, which it does need a little bit of pepper. It doesn't, even though we put pepper on our chicken, we need to put a little bit in our to flavor it just a little bit. Now, I'm not going to put very much salt in there because I don't like a lot of salt. Most people, if you come to my house for dinner, they know that they need to salt their own stuff. So I tell them taste it, you know, before you start adding. And then I'm going to put my chicken back in. Okay, there's my chicken. Put my lid back on. Okay, make sure my vent is closed. And I'm just going to leave it in here until it starts to thicken. Maybe for a couple minutes, and then I will, you know, I don't think you really need the lid. Let's take the lid off so we can watch it get thick. I think that would probably be a better idea. And if it doesn't get thick enough, you can always make you a cornstarch slurry, which is a tablespoon of cornstarch and 1/4 cup of water, and that will help your sauce to get thick. Now, we don't want it so thick that you can't get it out of the pan without, you know, maybe you need a knife, which now I have to admit, when I was younger and I first started making gravies and stuff like that, I learned a lot of things, and one of the things was when it starts to boil, you want to stir it and then make sure that it's not too thick and turn it off and get it off of the heat. Now, this is a little bit different than that, but that was just one of my flukes when I first was married, and you know, trying to do different things and make different, you know, try different recipes and stuff. In my household, when I was a kid, my dad loved to cook. So my dad did a lot of cooking. My mom cooked too, but she didn't cook near as much as my dad. But my dad had a certain palate. It was meat and potatoes. So I have tried to broaden my taste a little bit. And I tried to get my kids and my grandkids to try different things. My kids weren't really picky. Now, grandkids, that's a different story. Some of them are pretty picky, but that's okay because that's just part of life. Now, this should be, oh, it's starting to bubble. Okay, it's bubbling. So we're gonna let it go until it thickens up. And it's starting to get a little bit thick. And I will get something. Maybe I'll just get a different bowl, and I'll put some in a bowl so that you can see what it looks like when it's done. It smells pretty good. It does smell really, really good. Now, I know a lot of people, there's some recipes that I saw that have cream cheese in them also. But for me, I think that would be a little bit too much cheese. Okay, so we're going to let this go for a few minutes and let it get thick. And you can hear it boiling. It's got a nice, rich smell. The noodles look really, really good. I'm not too sure. I may have to put a little bit of cornstarch in here because I don't want it to be too thin. We don't want it super thick, but we don't want it so thin that it's soupy. Okay. Now, I'm going to pause you. I'm going to let this go for a minute, and then I'll come back when I'm ready to serve it up, and you can see what it looks like, and we'll taste it. Stay tuned. Okay, here's the noodles. Um, the noodles look pretty good. Mm. Noodles are cooked just perfect. Now let me try a piece of this chicken and see how it is. Mm. The chicken's really juicy. It's not dry and not rubbery. It's cooked just right. The only thing is I think we could put a little more Parmesan cheese in there, for my liking anyway, and maybe a little more salt, not pepper. There's plenty of pepper. But I think that this is something that my husband and I will probably try again. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit like, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate you so much. Next week, like I said, I'm going to try to do the corned beef and cabbage, potatoes and carrots, traditional Irish recipe. I hope you have a very blessed day. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.